one of those weird days today where normally when I would have done a THG video, I instead did an entertainment guy video just based on stuff I'm watching on TV. Thinking, well, nobody's going to watch it, but yeah, I still feel like doing a video on that. So yeah, continue to throw stuff up, and of course there was the chicken incident where the chickens from next door ended up in our yard, and we have to get them back. And my concerns being two things. One, I used to process poultry, so I always get nervous around poultry that they're gonna know, and they're gonna want to get revenge for their ancestors. And then there's just the reality too that when you're wearing a tank top, you don't have a lot of protection if they decide they're gonna react angrily, and you just never know. You just never know. Now I know, but you just never know. But anyways, that was entertaining. It was fun, and yeah, and I've got 2.5 boards done for videos for tomorrow. And by a half, I mean there's one that I started today, and after an hour of putting stuff on the board, I was like, all right, I just have to abandon this for now and start it again tomorrow. So that's what I was doing this afternoon, where I was like, all right, I'm going to get this done and put this video up. No, I'm not. No, this is going to take a while. So that's kind of one of those fun things where during the off season I'll do those like kind of a madness board, but I'm trying not to do like a complete and full on madness with it. But for long-time subscribers, you know what the madness boards look like. I'm trying not to do that with this, but it could end up being a madness board anyways. All right. So tonight's game, Vegas and Dallas. Yes, don't worry, I will get into this game. And this was the Vegas Golden Knights playing their game. Dallas, and again, there are some who are going to make excuses that are going to say, well, you know, for Dallas, they may have been tired. And again, if you're going to use that excuse, I guess it might work, except so's Vegas. Both teams are they have to be exhausted. So Vegas coming through tonight is huge. They had to win, and they did. So let's get into this. Player and puck tracking started tonight. It was barely in the game. Really? I mean, they were showing it on like replays and stuff, so it really wasn't like a major part of the game. Leonard, of course, in net for Vegas. If you're a Vegas fan and you still believe that Fleury should start instead of Leonard, I don't know what to tell you. I legit don't know. Robin Leonard's a pretty good goaltender. He is. He's a pretty good goaltender. He's a legit starting goaltender in the NHL. And I don't have a reason right now not to argue that he should not only be the starter right now, but he should stay with the team into next year and be the starter next year as well. And clearly Peter DeBoer has a lot of faith in him. Hitting started early, and Vegas was initiating that. Vegas took the game to Dallas tonight, and Vegas looked kind of listless. So while we got into this in the last game where Dallas looked like they were the ones in charge and they took control, tonight it was Vegas who took control of the game right off the opening faceoff. Radulov tested Leonard at 1:45 into the game, and Leonard passed that test as he would pass all the rest in this game. Klingberg takes a penalty, which was drawn by Reeves. I thought Reeves got in their heads too. He did. I thought Dallas took some penalties tonight they really shouldn't have, because they were trying to. And I'm not sure if it was trying to keep up with or trying to show we can do that too, or what it was, but just some dumb penalties that were taken here. So Vegas gets the power play at 3:01. Schmidt had a shot that was 101.8 kilometers an hour. That was stopped. There were 2 shots during that power play for Vegas. So very effective early on for the Vegas Golden Knights. Hudobin denied Pacioretty, and then he denied Nick Raw. So Hudobin looked pretty good early on, and Hudobin had a good game. This is not on Hudobin tonight, not at all. Shots were 5-1 for Vegas at the 6-minute mark. Desperate hockey. This was a desperate team in Vegas, and it showed. Now, the shots kind of even up later on. Gurianov had a chance that was broken up by Martinez. Whitecloud had a shot that missed. So basically, Hudobin's out of the net. Whitecloud had a chance and it ends up missing. And then Raw missed a prime chance in the last minute. So for Vegas, they're getting the best chances, and there's a lot of near misses. And as we're going into the second, I thought, this could be getting into their heads again. Like, okay, we're not on the scoreboard. We're having troubles getting goals here. Uh-oh. But while they were on like this historic dry spell for their forwards, when a goaltender's in the net, not including the 2 empty netters against Vancouver, they didn't give up. They didn't change their strategy going into that second period. Early chances for Vegas. McNabb takes a penalty. And the Stars had a power play. But not only did Vegas kill that power play, they maintained the momentum coming out of that power play. So it was, we killed it off and we're keeping the puck at your end. And then Stastny scores from Pacioretty and McNabb at 4:53. It was 276 minutes and 24 seconds of game time between goals by forwards, if you don't include the empty net markers for the Vegas Golden Knights. That's a long time. That's a very, very long time to go between goals by your forwards. Perry then took a penalty, and this was a bad penalty by Corey Perry. He was, again, Corey Perry, you have your advantages, your disadvantages, and with Perry, when the disadvantages are there, they can scream much louder than the advantages. And Carlson would score on that power play from Theodore and Stastny at 8:24. Radulov then takes a penalty, and Vegas goes back to the power play. I mentioned Perry, right? It's the same with Radulov. Radulov, some games can be just fantastic, and other games his temper gets the best of him, or sloppy play gets the best of him. This was not his best game tonight. Theodore then scored. Dallas challenged for goalie interference. It was pretty obvious early in the replay process that this goal was coming off. It was incidental contact. It's not a penalty, but it's not a goal. So they take that off. Vegas way ahead on shots, Stars on their heels, and coming out of that call, still no life from the Dallas Stars. And I had really thought, if this goes Dallas's way, they have to get a real shot of adrenaline from this. This has to be their comeback, and it wasn't going to happen. Ben takes a penalty. Ben didn't have a great game either. Another Vegas power play, really undisciplined game by the Dallas Stars tonight. You can't do this against Vegas. You just can't. Somewhere the Canucks, if they're watching this, they're saying, yeah, that looks familiar. You can't do that against Vegas. The shots in the game were starting to look like Vegas against Vancouver, and then Nosek scored from Stevenson and Raw at 14:32. There's two things on this. One, the passing back and forth was fantastic. The passing was great. As a Stars fan, I'm watching this and going, hey, so defense, it's fine. We don't need defense tonight, apparently. And so Nosek finished it off, made it 3-0. And I'm just wondering, so that defense that should be helping out Hudobin, that was blocking shots early on, where did it go? What happened to that? And again, Vegas, perfect passing, great passing, but they had way too many chances in that second period. And we're going to have the debate about, well, was Dallas tired? And again, that's when Vegas fans go, played more games in fewer days. So, again. And then more terrible defensive coverage by the Stars after that. McNabb takes a penalty. I thought the Stars needed a goal and energy. I don't know that the Stars necessarily agreed. Smith actually had a shorthanded break that was stopped by Hudobin. The aerial passes, I mentioned before this series, the aerial passes are what Vegas have. You flip it right over the defenders, you get a guy behind, and you go. It's something Vancouver had going for them against St. Louis, where they would flip it, and it was usually Bo Horvat on the other end. And in this series, Vegas is starting to get those passes through. So it's 3-0 entering the third period, and in the third, Ottinger's thrown to the Wolves by the Stars. The good news, if you're Dallas, is that Vegas, it really felt like they let up in the third period, because they sort of kind of did. They understood they had a 3-0 lead. The important thing is just bring it home, relax. You've played a lot of games in a short period of time. Don't, push a whole bunch of things here. Fox takes a penalty in the first minute because the Stars were sloppy. When I'm even talking about Fox taking penalties, I'm going, yep, that's not great. That's saying something. The Stars shot blocking, Vegas, though, killing the clock. And it was a quiet third period shot-wise. There's still a lot of hitting going on. And it felt like a lot of that was being initiated by Vegas, as Dallas just kind of, I don't know, they just weren't playing that great. Now, that being said, Vegas was at 0 shots until 11:38 of the third period. And they finally got their first shot on Jake Ottinger. So they let Ottinger off the hook. They let Ottinger get kind of comfortable, and then they got some shots from there. They did pressure after that. That's when the shot blocking for Dallas started showing up again. Probably because Ottinger was in net. I don't think there's any chance Ottinger starts game 3. They'll go back to Hudobin. Part of the reason you don't have Hudobin in the third period is to let him have a bit of a rest before game 3 in a couple of nights. Pressure by Vegas is then answered by Dallas pulling the goalie with 4 minutes left. I get it, but I knew that they weren't coming back. And this is when Chris Cuthbert, and it's funny because, again, I hear announcers, remember now, there could be huge comebacks. It's almost as if announcers are saying, hey, I know you're thinking about changing the channel to watch some. Don't you dare change that channel. This game might not be over, even though Vegas had a 3-0 lead with 5 minutes left when he said it. And I was like, oh, come on, Chris. They're not coming back. Okay, I would love to be that optimistic, but there's a realist in there too that says it's not going to happen. So Radulov then was guilty of a high stick with 1:12 left, and that was after I thought Dallas got away with having too many men on the ice during the 6-on-5. There were some interesting line changes going on there. I was like, that looked like 7. That could have been 7. But yeah, Radulov takes the high sticking penalty, and it's a double minor. So it's a twofer. And that's it. That's the game. 3-0 for Vegas. Your 3 stars, Stastny, Leonard, and Nosek. So again, if you were still believing, you know what, we need to play Fleury, we shouldn't play Leonard, I got nothing. That is 4 shutouts for Leonard. 4 in these playoffs. Shots were 8-5 Vegas in the first, 19-7 as the Canucks apparently took the ice in the second period. And in the third, Dallas outshot them 12-5. Final shots 32-24 in favor of Vegas, but it did feel like Vegas let up in the third. It did feel like they took their foot off the gas. Power plays 0 for 2 for Dallas, 1 for 6 for Vegas. 6-2 were the power plays in Vegas' favor, a big part of the reason they win tonight. Hudobin saves 24-27. Ottinger saved the 5 shots he faced. I thought he looked decent. Leonard, 24 saves on 24 shots. As I said, that's his 4th shutout. Radulov, a -2 with 6 penalty minutes tonight. Ouch. Roy and McNabb were both +2s tonight. So that's interesting that McNabb, who's had some rough games here and there, he had a good game tonight. Stastny, a goal and an assist. McNabb also got pretty beat up tonight, too. Stastny, a goal and an assist. 0 shots for Dallas. Ben and Pavelski both had nada, 0. 1 shot, Radulov had 1. If you can hold Ben, Pavelski, and Radulov to a combined 1 shot in a game, you have an excellent chance of winning that game against Dallas. Sagan had 4 shots, though. Tyler Sagan might have played his best game of the playoffs. And Marchessault also had 4 shots. Worthy of note, because Marchessault has been struggling to get pucks to go into the net. And Alex Tuch continues to be hot and cold. He had 0 shots in this game as well. And so, yeah, unpredictable playoffs continue to be unpredictable. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Can Dallas get the momentum back in Game 3? Or is it now squarely in Vegas' favor? We'll see what happens. Let me know your thoughts. Hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.